Hey, it's Jeff Zito, and thanks for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast, where you can check out all of our past episodes on celebrityjobber.com. These celebrities, if it wasn't for that big break, who knows what they would be doing. They might have a regular job and not be a famous actor like this week's guest, Steve Guttenberg. You know him from the 80s. I could list the movies like the Police Academy franchise. Those were my favorites. You know, also 3 Men and a Baby, Cocoon. I mean, Steve Guttenberg was kind of a big deal in the 1980s and kind of disappeared for a minute. Where did he go? I started seeing him pop up on social media just a few years ago with these very inspirational thoughts. What was the purpose of those? Steve's first acting gig and his first job. We're going to ask him about all that stuff. Steve Guttenberg is my guest this week on Celebrity Jobber.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Check out all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good. Zito, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It was, it wasn't long ago that I saw one of your inspirational, videos on social media. And I was like, wow, Steve Guttenberg, Cadet Mahoney. And I'm thinking of all the movies and I'm like, wow, what's going on? And then, I know your story and I know about the book. And so I guess that all kind of cleared up for me. But those inspirational videos, I mean, I got a lot out of them, man. And I wanted to know what made you go in that direction.
Well, it's interesting. My dad, who I wrote this book about, Time to Thank, would always steer me toward the positive. You'd always say, God wants us to be happy. That's what you should be most every day, is happy. That's the point of it. You're supposed to have more happy days than lousy days. And when he was in the hospital and I was caring for him with my family, I would come outside, take a break, and talk to people and have a cup of coffee. But sometimes at 2, 3 in the morning, nobody would be there. And a friend of mine said, hey, talk to social media, talk to the phone. And people started writing back. And in my book, Time to Thank, I talk about that when you're a caregiver, and the book is called Time to Thank, Caregiving for My Hero, it's a lonely job because you're in a room alone with that person.
Right.
And it really can be very tough on you.
Steve, can you tell me a little bit about your dad and his job, or basically both of your parents? What did they do for work? And how did they encourage you to become an actor as, they had, regular quote unquote jobs?
Well, my mom and dad, at the age of when I was 17, let me come out to Hollywood with $300 in my pocket. And I had 2 weeks to become a movie star. And I got a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial, and they let me stay. My mom and dad were such good people, and they really gave me such belief in myself. And I think that's the real basis of life, is believing in yourself and having other people believe in you. So, in a roundabout fashion of answering your question, I really think it comes down to love, someone loving you, and you loving somebody, and having a purpose in life, and having people that care about you is a great purpose.
So your mom was a surgical assistant, your dad an electrical engineer. Nobody ever said, Steve, listen, you should probably, the dream is fine, but, maybe have a backup plan. Did they ever have that conversation with you?
My dad was a U.S. Airborne Army Ranger. He was a New York City policeman, and then he became an executive at the very beginning of semiconductors And yeah, my mom was a surgical assistant for a podiatrist, but they believed in me, and they just wanted me to be happy. No matter what, they just wanted me to be happy, no matter what I did. And I really truly believe I'm happy as an actor, but I could be happy doing something else also. And I think that's the key to life.
What do you think your big break was, Steve? Do you remember? You were just saying that your parents let you go out to L.A. with $300 in your pocket to pursue your dream, and you said you got a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial right away. What do you consider though your big break?
I would say my big break, and I know this sounds funny, but my big break was 100 big breaks, because that's what it takes to become a success in the acting business. Not just one break, 100 big breaks. And I had a great break when I did Snow White when I was 12 years old at the Plainview Library, and when I was 18 years old and did a movie with Phil Silvers, and when I was 20 years old and 19-year-old, did a movie with Greg Peck. And then when I was 22, I did a movie with Kevin Bacon and Barry Levinson. And then when I was 23, I did a movie called Police Academy. And my breaks have been ongoing. And just now, a few years ago, I did a television series called Ballers. And I did a show called Party Down. And I'm doing a series called High Potential, which is on ABC. So I think it's just a series of breaks.
Do you remember your first job? Was it outside of acting? Like your very first paying job? What was it?
Oh, yeah. My first job, I actually built my own business. I was a lawnmower, and I was a pool cleaner. And my first hire job was I was a caddy at Bethpage Black. And then I worked at the Bethpage stable, being a muckraker. And that's in Long Island.
Oh, wow, man. That's awesome stuff. Tell me a little bit more about this book, if you could. Time to Thank, Caregiving for My Hero. Very touching to me. I haven't read it yet, but I want to. I have two elderly parents, 88-year-old father, 85-year-old mother. They're in assisted living, and it's starting to weigh on me a little bit. Caregiving for your dad, who was your hero. How tough was that to, when you're looking at your dad, the big, strong dad can beat anybody up when you're younger, to now he's getting older and he needs assistance doing, little things. How mentally, was that for you?
Well, as you know, one of the hardest things in life is seeing your parents get weaker and get older. And then you have to do the things that they did for you. Help them put their pajamas on, help them shave or put on stockings, drive them places. It's very, very difficult. So same for me. But you know what? You can't show it. You can once in a while break down in the privacy of your home and break down with sadness, in the privacy of a quiet time. But you can't show that to them. You have to tell them, everything's great, Dad, Mom. You look great. Today's going to be a great day. You've got to. You got to stay strong for them. And I say the same thing to you. And in my book, Time to Thank, you'll get an idea that it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's a duty. Like a baby cries, you run down the hall to see what's going on. And that's what it's like to be a caregiver. There's more than 53 million caregivers in this world. More than 53 million. So we must do our best, try our best.
And I heard it was your dad's wish. Is it? And correct me if I'm wrong. It was your dad's wish for you to get back into the world of acting. Is that true? And what do you have planned in the future?
Oh yeah, he really wanted me to get back in there, and so I've got a movie coming out called Floaters, which is about a summer camp, and it's terrific, coming out this summer. And then we've got another movie coming out this fall, which is an action movie, and we have a TV series called High Potential, and coming out, and that'll be in September.
You think there's ever a chance Mahoney could return for another police academy?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'm really looking forward to. You'll see Mahoney back again. That's for sure.
That is so great. Steve Guttenberg, Time to Thank, Caregiving for My Hero. I urge you all to check it out, and it's such a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's a very sad story that Steve Guttenberg tells about his father growing older and needed to become a caregiver. And that's where he was for the last few years. He was out of the acting biz and caring for his father, who seemed to be very influential in Steve's life, very supportive, a military man. He was also a police officer, then became an executive in the very first semiconductor biz. His mother, a surgical technician, and they pushed Steve to follow his dreams, become an actor. Went to Los Angeles with $300 in his pocket, got a KFC commercial. Didn't really say he had a big break, even though I would think the Police Academy movies would kind of put Steve on the map in the world of acting and comedy. Definitely for me, I found out who Steve Guttenberg was from Cadet Mahoney way back when in those Police Academy movies. But he says his big break was just a series of breaks that started when he was 12 years old in a play. He said his first job was actually his own business. He formed his own business, doing the lawn service around town. But a very popular first job here on the Celebrity Jobber podcast, where I got to say at least a half a dozen of my past 90-something guests have all been caddies at a golf course. Must be a pretty decent gig. Steve from New York, so he caddied at a very well-renowned golf course, Bethpage. Also said he worked in the stables there at Bethpage, which was, also a big park in the area. So I thought that was pretty cool. And Steve, not very active in the world of acting for the last few years, as he was caring for his sick father. And his latest endeavor was writing the book, Time to Thank, Caregiving for My Hero. Not his first book, by the way. He's written a few different books, but this is what he's been doing the last few years, as well as actually caring for his father. It's actually a really sad story, but very relatable. His dad's wish was for Steve to, quote unquote, make a comeback and return to acting, which he is. And he does say, do not be surprised if we see Officer Mahoney and a new Police Academy movie in the near future. He says that is definitely going to happen, which is pretty exciting to me. You can check out all our past guests here on Celebrity Jobber online at celebrityjobber.com. Follow on Instagram. You can also follow on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/the@celebrityjobber. Please subscribe. Would love a 5-star rating and leave a review. Streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're there. I don't know what would have happened to Steve Guttenberg if his parents weren't supportive and really encouraged him to pursue his dream. I guess we'll never know. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Celebrity Jobber. Until next week, we'll see you then. I'm Jeff Zito.